everybody. Welcome to another exciting production of Caribbean Championship Wrestling, ENG Productions, and we're delighted that you are with us. My name is Hugo Sabinovich, and next to me is the man himself, Eddie Grice, and I'm really surprised that you're here with me on tonight's great program.
Well, Hugo Sabinovich, I don't really want to be here, but I had a tough time trying to find somebody to do any commentary with you tonight. And it was really, really tough trying to find somebody at all to talk about Abdullah the Butcher, because they're afraid of him. They're all afraid of him, and I don't understand why. I mean, they are grown men. But from what I hear, they're afraid of retribution or vengeance. The man might hit them when they don't know it, you know, or walking down the street, getting into a car. However, I found one man brave enough to come out here and commentate with you tonight.
With us right now?
With us right now. Here he comes, Mr. X.
Mr. X?
Okay. Mr. X. We have to call Mr. X because the only way that he would come out here is that we hide his identity. And that's the only way. So I'm going to leave Mr. X with you.
Where will you be going? I'm
going down to Carolina because there's matches tonight, and I'm going to find some more men that will give me interviews and talk about Abdullah the Butcher, so maybe we can get rid of this menace.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chief. Okay. Mr. X, okay, let's find a little bit about Mr. X. Are you a professional wrestler?
No comment.
Are you a wrestling manager?
Hugo, it makes absolutely no difference what I do. You know, I'm out here under a mask. I'm very nervous about it, but the only reason I'd agree to do this is because I don't want any retribution from Abdullah the Butcher. The man's sadistic, and once the people get finished watching this program, they're going to understand exactly why I came out here in the hood. But I think the first thing we're going to take a look at is some of the things that this maniac does outside the ring, not pertaining to wrestling.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Hugo, now here's a man sitting here with his manager, Chicky Star, eating raw liver. Now, it doesn't take an IQ with the intelligence to split an atom to figure out that Abdullah the Butcher is not playing with a full deck. He's obviously sadistic, he's crazy, he's insane. Any other adjective you want to use to describe that the man's crazy, you can use here. Here he is snatching a fly out of the air, smacking it a couple times, disoriented, and now look what he's getting ready to do. He's going to stick an insect in his mouth, and there he goes right there doing that, and he's eating it. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the people should know that you are the one that's responsible for bringing this man to Caribbean Championship Wrestling.
Wait a minute, Mr. X. I don't think, I don't want to talk about this. I mean, hey, it's a long, long time ago. I don't think we should talk about this.
Well, I realize that too, Hugo, but I want to bring the fact out right now that these people out here, there's a tape that exists that I know you thought was destroyed, but I've got evidence right here that you were the one that brought the man into Caribbean Wrestling, and we're going to see it right now.
But wait a minute, one second. Now, what is this here? This has nothing to do with Abdullah. I think this is invading my private life, kind of.
Well, Hugo, like I said, you probably thought that these tapes didn't exist anymore, but here it is in living color for all the people watching this tape.
This is a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, I realize this is a long time ago, but, you know, you got to get the people the history behind what's going on here. And I know for a fact this was 6 years ago, and maybe your memory is not far enough in that past to be able to remember what was going on here. But one question I've got for you is, what's that stuff on your face?
Well, that's used to be part of my personality. I've always been modern, and I was managing at the time. That was some shiny glitter. I felt fortunate that I had the best wrestlers, and I wanted to make him feel proud of me. But I don't think at this stage in my life I want to see this.
Well, look at this. Here's Abdullah the Butcher eating a piece of paper. Again, I reiterate, or I say again, this guy is not playing with the full deck. It's obvious he's a maniac. He's sadistic. He has no compassion for human existence whatsoever, and yet you're the one that introduced him into the Caribbean area.
Wait a minute. He is a tremendous, great wrestler. I was just lucky enough that he chose me to be his manager. Why should you blame me for this?
Well, I mean, look what, I don't think you can say that. How can you say that? I guarantee you people out there, by the time you're finished watching what this man has done inside and outside the ring, you're going to understand that what Hugo's saying right now is totally ridiculous. This guy is sadistic. I mean, like I told you, you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to look at him for long. Look at that far away look in his eye. Obviously, not everybody's home there.
Well, let me tell you something. I've always done a good job for Eddie Grice, for the whole production, but I don't think this is right. This is really invading my privacy. I don't want to look at things that have nothing to do with my life present. I don't want to get into this. This is something very negative for me.
Well, do you think it's easy for me to come out here? I had to come out here with a mask and try and hide my identity. You think it's easy for me to come out here and say what has to be said, what should be said about this man without the fear of maybe...
Well, what about me? What about me? He's seen me in this tape. What about if he thinks that I'm the one that's putting this together?
You know, Hugo, it's obvious to me, and I know it's obvious to people out there, regardless of what you say. You brought Abdullah the Butcher on the interview right here, so obviously you're the one leading him. So don't go.
I don't deny that I was his manager. What I'm trying to say is I don't think at this point in my life, I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but I mean, do I need to see this again? Why should I be put through this? Why if this man hurts me? Now, who's going to be responsible if he takes some action about this?
Well,
I don't have a mask.
Well, I'll tell you, if he hurts you, then maybe you'll get an idea of all the friends that I've had, some personal friends that's been injured by this man, and all the other wrestlers that have been put out of wrestling by this man. Maybe you'll feel just exactly what those guys felt because they're no longer wrestling. And don't you have a little hard feeling dealing with yourself, knowing that you caused all that pain and suffering by bringing this man in?
Well, I don't know. I just don't think this is right. And a professional wrestler is always in danger when he goes inside the ring. And I don't think I should be blamed for this.
Well, let's just go to the first match right now.
Well, now we're taking a look at one of the great battles between Carlos Colon and Abdullah. The only thing wrong here is we're going back to the fact that this is about 1984, and I was still his manager.
That's right, Hugo. It was 1984, but by that time, you'd already led him for about 2 years, and he'd injured a heck of a lot of people, and now he's going against a great Carlos Colon, who will probably put him in his place. But still, how can you handle a madman like this, and don't you feel a little responsible for this?
Like I said, I was just managing Abdullah. I did not go into the ring, and Abdullah the Butcher, his reputation and his style, it's hurting people. I have never claimed that he didn't do bad things, but it's a rough sport, and he's one of the kings of professional wrestling.
Yeah, but an individual that has a craziness about him like this guy obviously doesn't have a full capacity for the brain to work, so he has to have some kind of guidance to help him along his way. And at this time, you're the manager now. It doesn't take a genius to figure out 2 and 2 makes 4.
Look at the bloody battle. Blood on Carlos Colon. A lot of things you also have to mention here is the feud between Colon and Abdullah did not only extend to Puerto Rico now. They hated each other for a long time.
Well, you know, Hugo, that's possibly true, but, you know, when you fight a man like Abdullah and you go in the ring and you know what he's all about, he's not all there, he's crazy, it kind of drives you to the brink of craziness, too.
Well, at that time also, you got to say that some of the people that hated Abdullah, they used to hate me and do damage to me. Here is the commissioner. At the time, Tom Renesto was the commissioner for the Caribbean World Wrestling Council. It's not just Abdullah now hurting the commissioner, it's also Carlos Colon. So they're both animals.
Well, you know, no, look, just like I said, it brings out the animal in you when you're dealing with an animal. Here's the commissioner out there trying to break him up, and there's no regard at all for human safety as far as Abdullah the Butcher is concerned. Look at him right there. He's handling him like he's just a nobody. This is the commissioner you're talking about. Now, there should have been some serious fines or something done about it.
You did see Carlos pushing the commissioner. Look at him. He's the one pushing. Now, if you blame me for bringing him, why can't you blame the hate on the competition of Carlos towards Abdullah and vice versa here?
Well, in your case, I can see where you would look at it that way because you're his leader at that time, and even though it's in the past, you're not going to put on the monkey on your back, so you're going to get out of it any way you can. The fact of the matter is, he was provoked. Carlos Colon was provoked by Abdullah the Butcher's craziness, and that just provokes both men, and that's the bottom line. Abdullah the Butcher is responsible. Something's got to be done.
So it's Carlos. Carlos is also responsible. As you see, we have some problems with the tape at the time. I don't think people were very interested in making sure that this will still be around. I'll tell you the truth, I don't want this to be around myself.
Well, you know, Hugo, I've got another piece of video that you probably thought didn't exist anymore that I want to show the people right now.
Oh, 1 second. Oh, don't tell me this. Oh.
Dude, now, do I have to make any other explanations? Look what he did to Carlos Colon. He just got finished with an interview. He attacked him with the net.
1 second, Mr. X.
Look who's guiding me.
But we were enemies. At that time, Carlos and me were enemies. We had a rivalry, too. He had already hurt me, too, and I was managing Abdullah. And I wanted Abdullah to win.
Well, okay, maybe that is true, but look what Abdullah's doing. He's got a fork out there, hitting Carlos and Colon in the head. He's got him wrapped up in a net. There's nowhere he can go. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's cowardly tactics, and you can justify yourself all you want to, but the people out there know, and I know, that regardless of what you say, you're responsible for that damage. And there you were laughing in the background, too. What do you got to say for yourself? I'm not going to say
it was a rivalry. It was surviving here in Puerto Rico.
Well, look at this. Now it takes, there's 2, 3, 4, Looks like 5, 6. It's going to take about 7 men to get him out of here. So now I want to go to another match right now.
Okay, now let's talk about this one. Now, this is competition. You talk about the things that Abdullah has done. What about this? What can you say about the biggest man in professional wrestling ever, Andre the Giant?
Well, you can say he's an impressive man. There's no question about that. You know, this is the first time I've had a chance to see this match because they hadn't had that many. But here you have the largest man in the world against the most sadistic man in the world, and it should be quite a battle.
Abdullah the Butcher, and here you can't say that he is overpowering no one because he's taking on the strongest man in professional wrestling. Andre the Giant, not only the biggest, but undefeated at the time that he took on Abdullah the Butcher. Now, this is competition. This is what Abdullah has always wanted. You cannot blame the man for being the vicious, animalistic wrestler that he is. That's just part of his nature. He's Sudanese. He's a wrestling machine, and I was his manager.
Well, you know, you were his manager, but still, and he's everything you say is true. I'm not going to dispute that, but still, he's a type of individual that has to have some guidance. Now, as far as Andre the Giant's concerned, a great competitor, and he's so big, 7'4", over 500 pounds. He's just a perfect man to deal with Abdullah the Butcher, maybe deal out a little of the damage that Abdullah the Butcher has done in the past with your tutelage.
Abdullah the Butcher, I don't think he needs no one to do damage. He loves to hurt people with the manager, without the manager. What about Andre the Giant? He's overpowering Abdullah the Butcher here, using all that height, all that weight advantage, and he's all over Abdullah. Now, can you criticize that instinct of Andre the Giant there?
You know, I really admire your ability there to try to change the subject, Hugo. The fact of the matter is, this video...
Look at those headbutts, those chops.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it. I know the people out there are enjoying it, because the fact of the matter is, even though you try to change the subject, this tape is about the viciousness, the sadisticness of Abdullah the Butcher. It has to be brought out in public, in open. I know you're embarrassed to see it, but that's the whole point. Something's got to be done to stop this guy, to stop the...
Look at Andre the Giant. At this time, Andre the Giant was at the best shape of his wrestling career. And I'm pretty sure that people know that a lot of people tried to hurt Abdullah the Butcher, but they were unsuccessful because Abdullah loves to go into competition, to do damage, and not only that, he loves to see blood on his face and in his opponents because it just makes him wilder.
Oh, it's obviously true. Anytime you see Abdullah the Butcher, there's always blood involved in the match. He drives on that. He thrives on that. He's sadistic. It's like giving him a pap pill or something like that. He drives crazy. But, you know, he doesn't look too happy about what Andre the Giant's been doing to him for the last couple of minutes. I noticed you haven't mentioned anything about it.
Look at Abdullah here now. Even Andre the Giant can be stopped by Abdullah the Butcher. The big man in the hands of the Sudanese wrestling machine, Abdullah the Butcher. Look at him. Tremendous headbutt to a man that's used to just knocking people down with those headbutts. Andre the Giant, down on the mat, the headbutts of Abdullah the Butcher did it.
You know, to me it sounds like you're still managing Abdullah the Butcher because you're liking everything.
No, I respect the ability of professional wrestlers. Regardless of what happened at this given time, you cannot take away the quality in Abdullah the Butcher. That's why all the promoters from all over the world, they want to have him, yet you have to say the truth. Everybody's afraid of him. That's why you have a match too.
Oh, absolutely right. I'm not going to dispute that. I've said that a couple of times. Everybody's afraid of him. But look at him. You're saying he's a competitor. He was down choking Andre the Giant. He's doing every foul thing he could possibly think of. I'm surprised he hasn't pulled out his fork yet. I'm sure he will. Like I said, I haven't seen the match, but it's obvious to me, and it's obvious to people out there that something's got to be done to stop this guy, and maybe Andre the Giant will just do it right here. I hope so. I know you don't like it.
Abdullah the Butcher, a great wrestler, so Andre the Giant. Give credit where credit is due. My main thing here is I did not like the way these matches were presented because it involved a part of my life that I have no intention of reviving. I am happy the way I am right now, and I don't think that this has anything to do with the matches. Abdullah is hurting people every day. Why do you have to go to these Asian matches to show this?
Well, you know, Hugo, all I can say is...
I'm going to talk to Eddie Grice about this later.
Well, that's okay. You can talk to him all you want to, and you guys can play pool all you want to and get beat all you want to, but the fact of the matter is that Abdullah the Butcher is a sadistic madman, and he brought his beginnings...
Okay, now, he took something out. I'll be the first one to admit it. You always have to watch him. He takes it out from the boots, from his karate pants. And the truth of the matter is that the whole world knows that Abdullah the Butcher goes into the ring not to win, not to compete, but to destroy. That is his main object. And if anybody is not going to accept that, then believe me, they're going to be in for some heavy nightmares.
Oh, you know, every time you step into a ring with a guy like Abdullah the Butcher, I mean, there's nobody else like him in the whole world of professional wrestling. There's only one Abdullah the Butcher.
See, the referee, even the referee is afraid.
And, you know, he has every right to be. Like I said, I got a mask on. I'm afraid. But the thing is, your attitude towards Abdullah the Butcher, I think, is what's getting you in trouble right here, because it's like you're on his side even though you're trying to sound like you're not, and you don't have me fooled. And now we're looking at something that I'm really enjoying. Abdullah the Butcher flat on his back and getting a little punishment from the object that he uses all the time to hurt other people.
One thing that I am proud of is the fact that the people, the fans, today's wrestling fans, could actually watch a true battle of giants of Abdullah the Butcher and Andre the Giant, when Andre the Giant was at his best, the best that he no longer is, because in his case, with all the injuries, that has taken a lot of the toll on Andre the Giant. But he went to San Juan, Puerto Rico to battle Andre the Giant. I could tell you an inside story here that there was a lot of money paid for Andre the Giant to come down here and injure Abdullah the Butcher. You know why? Because a lot of people tried, and a lot of people could not even come close to. Even Eddie Grice at the time, he would sit on that last row in ringside, afraid of Abdullah the Butcher.
Well, Eddie Grice, my good friend, is very intelligent because he knows how sadistic Abdullah the Butcher is. You want to try and stay away from him as much as possible. Now, some of these people out here sitting on ringside might not be able to know that or figure that out, or maybe they want to see it. That's why they come to see Abdullah the Butcher, because he's hurt so many people, and they're hoping maybe he'll get a little bit of that punishment in return.
We do apologize for some of the problems in the video. You have to understand this is way back, and we just wanted to show you this precious match of Andre the Giant at his best against Abdullah the Butcher. Now, we have not touched the fact that I was also afraid of being close to Abdullah the Butcher. Anybody who's close to Abdullah the Butcher is afraid. Here, both men get counted out. The battle continues outside. Andre the Giant and Abdullah were both counted out.
Cerca del público. Ahí lo va persiguiendo Andrés Gigante, Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, finally. Okay, now this I agree with. Now, Chiqui Star is the manager right here of Abdullah the Butcher. Now, if you talk about the things that I did, what about the things that Chiqui Star has done? Can you understand that a professional of a manager is to make the contract, get the right money, and sometimes you have to put away your own feelings because professional wrestling comes in first. If you love this sport, you're going to do your best for your man to get the best contracts and forget about some feelings sometimes.
Well, you know, Hugo, I'm not going to disagree with you a whole lot on that particular statement, because a lot of what you say is true. You know, being in the world of professional wrestling, money's the bottom line, and I can't, you know, I can't really complain about you as far as that goes. But still, you have the leadership, or you were the one that originally brought the man in.
Does this mean that under the mask, you're a professional wrestler?
Well, I didn't say that. I just said in the world of professional wrestling, money's the name of the game. It's just like any other profession or business. You go out there to make as much money as possible and try to put words in my mouth.
Okay, here we're going to take a look at another outstanding battle between Carlos Colon and Abdullah the Butcher. Mind you that now at this time it's Chiqui Star, the manager. It's not myself anymore, but look at how savage he is. He's got that 2x4 in his hand, and it's not me there. Right over Carlos. Can you understand this is hate? This has nothing to do with he manages him or not. He loves to hurt people.
Well, this is a showcase example of Abdullah the Butcher at his most sadistic best or worst, however you want to look at it. He comes to the ring armed. It just so happened this time it's a 2x4. The man will use anything that he can get his hands on that he think will do damage.
Okay, now 1 second now. Now, could you understand right there what's happening also too? Now, Eddie Grice, our producer, he was taking pictures right there. He was taking pictures right there. Right there.
Well, you know, I can't explain that. Maybe Eddie felt brave enough to try to get close to Abdullah and Carlos in this big rivalry. But the fact of the matter is, Abdullah the Butcher is using a 2x4. I mean, when you talk about wrestling, Hugo, you're talking about holds and counter moves and suplexes and slams. We're not talking about 2x4s and forks and things like that. There's no justification in that, and that's what this tape's all about. Something's got to be done about it.
Look at this gigantic battle, two rivals, a lot of countries involved in this rivalry: Japan, Canada, Puerto Rico. the Republic of Trinidad in this particular match here in Caguas. And once again, you see the way he's all over Carlos. No respect whatsoever for Carlos. Look at this. He took Eddie Grice's camera. Eddie Grice's camera. Now, why don't we blame Eddie for this?
Well, Eddie can't be blamed for that. How did he know that Abdullah was going to come over there and pick up his camera and bang Carlos in the head with it?
Why couldn't he take it away from him?
Well,
are we talking about being afraid here?
Oh, yes, you're talking about being afraid.
Hey, let's say I was afraid back then, too.
Okay, maybe you were afraid, but the fact of the matter is
that he's using the camera all over Carlos Colon. It's Eddie Grice's camera, and I don't see him trying to come in and take the camera away. Now, let's concentrate on the fact that Abdullah has no respect for no one. And here is Abdullah the Butcher. More blood on the face, on the forehead of Carlos Colon. Carlos Colon coming down the staircase in the tunnel of Caguas. Bloody mess, courtesy of the camera of Eddie Grice. Not even the referee. No one could stop him. Carlos Colon been hurt bad by Abdullah the Butcher, and it's not over. And Chiqui Star is also waving. He's saying, hurt him more.
Well, you've been in that position too. Wave him, hurt him more. The fact of the matter is, I keep trying to reiterate that he'll use anything he can get his hands on to cause damage. He used a camera that didn't meant to be left there, but it was left there.
Look at it. Now, what about Carlos?
Carlos picks up
garbage can?
Hey, why not? He used a camera on him.
What I'm trying to say here, Mr. X, is if Carlos, being a gentleman, could also turn an animalistic wrestler, maybe we are hitting the point here that once a rivalry goes to these extremes, things change a lot.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about survival. Any athlete knows that when the rivalry that you're up against is the most fearful in your life, and your life could be on the line every time you step in the squared circle, sure, there's a lot of fear there. Sure, it's going to turn you into an animalistic person.
Abdullah the Butcher, one thing we have to get straight here is the fact that Abdullah the Butcher, it's one of the wildest wrestlers, and he is mean, and he hates Carlos. A lot of injuries involved, and one of these days, it's going to be something very depressing happen.
Well, now he's pulled out his good old fork, Hugo, so now he's going to cause even more damage. Look at it there. It's obvious to see. I don't know what the referee's doing, but it looks like El Vikingo, and that explains everything. But still, the fact of the matter is, this man has got to be stopped. I mean, something's got to be done about it. How many people are you willing to let him hurt?
No, I have nothing to do with this. I'm just the host. I'm in charge of the production of some of the Spanish programs. And here, I have nothing to do with wrestling. Nobody's forcing Abdullah to go into the ring to fight Carlos. Nobody's forcing Carlos to go back in the ring. You have to understand that his prestige is the pride of being the #1 in the World Wrestling Council. And Abdullah has always wanted to show the world that he's better than Carlos. And blood has never stopped them. They don't care about stitches. They don't care about injuries. They just go out there and they go for battles, wild battles. And you see that? You think Carlos was afraid of Abdullah the Butcher? He would never been in the ring back after all the things that has happened. And the referee's right there. And I don't see him being aggressive either.
Well, the referee's El Vikingo. As far as I'm concerned, like I said before, it's self-explanatory. But what we're talking about here is Carlos Colon. He's a man that's got a lot of pride. We all got a lot of pride. If you go out and you fight a battle and you lose, you go home, you get well up, wounded up, get all your wounds healed, you go back out and you do it again. And that's what's going on here. Carlos knows what he's up against when he gets in the ring with Abdullah.
Oh, look at that.
But, you know, look at him pounding that fork in his forehead. Again, no compassion for human suffering. I mean, human
I agree with you.
nothing.
I agree with you. That is Abdullah. And that's, I think a professional wrestler should know before he signs a contract, if he sees the name of Abdullah the Butcher there, he's got to be either brave, talented, or be very stupid, because he's not there to wrestle. He's there to hurt you with a fork, with a chair, with a piece of wood, with anything. Look at the blood on Carlos.
Well, you know, like I said, you forgot to put camera in there because he used those two to inflict damage on Carlos. But like I said, Hugo, I'm not putting all the blame on you for what Abdullah's doing right here. The fact of the matter is,
I have to say that I am not proud of the fact that I was his manager. But you do have to understand that people have to survive. You choose a trade. You have to do better what you do. And sometimes you have to do things to survive when you love what has been your life. In my case, professional wrestling.
well, I'm not not out here to judge you either. You took that wrong. I was just merely thought you were.
You are making me feel guilty here, and it's bothering me.
Well, you should feel guilty. Look what this man's doing. Once again, Carlos.
This time it was Chicky Star, the manager, and he had already used Eddie Grice's camera. So I have nothing to do with it. I'm just judging here the style. Now that's a low blow kick here by Carlos on Abdullah the Butcher. A lot of the scientific wrestling goes out of the window of Carlos. Now look at Carlos. Carlos Colon biting on Abdullah. No mercy. I mean, his teeth all the way on his forehead.
Well, I tell you, you act like you're complaining about it. Maybe I'm taking it wrong. The fact of the matter is, Carlos is surviving. We've been talking about that. When you go in the ring against an animal, you got to fight like an animal, because if you don't, you won't survive and you won't come out without any injuries. And now it looks like there's Chicky Star getting into the ring, and Carlos is going to do a little bit of him, what he can do.
Wait a minute. Abdullah the Butcher, he's got something in his hand. Might be a substance. I know his style. Okay, all over Carlos Colon. Immediate disqualification. Carlos in trouble. Now he got the manager. He did hit Chicky Star, but it cost him a lot, because not only it's bad for his eyes, but now he's at the mercy of Abdullah the Butcher, who's all over Carlos Colon. Now this could be the beginning to the end of Carlos' career, because he can't see at this time.
Well, you know, you're right. He can't see. So what's going to happen? Abdullah knows he can't see. Carlos is bleeding. Abdullah's bleeding. And what it does is it puts Carlos at a disadvantage. And Abdullah...
Here comes some of the other wrestlers, one of the young bloods. Everybody ganging up on him. Okay, what a tremendous battle. People again separating Abdullah and Carlos Colon.
Momento en que se quite su capa.
Okay, Hugo, up to this point, we've seen Abdullah the Butcher wrestling guys that are capable of taking care of him. Now we're looking at him taking care of a young wrestler who probably hadn't been in wrestling very long, and he's going to tear him apart. And once again, it just adds to the fact that Abdullah the Butcher is a maniac, and I think this is Sabu right here. And look at Abdullah Butcher. Already he's pulled the fork out. He's putting it to him, and what have you got to say about it?
No question about that, Mr. X. He is a vicious wrestler. The name says it all. Abdullah the Butcher. And poor Sabu, he was just beginning in professional wrestling. He had the guts or the stupidity, whatever you want to call, to go into the ring with this beast, close to 500 pounds. He was there, and he wanted to hurt this kid. When I saw the eyes of Abdullah the Butcher going into the ring, I knew that Sabu was going to be in for a night that he will never forget. And you know something? I have talked to Sabu about it. He has never forgotten this moment. He even had nightmares, because not only the blood, the injuries that this match cost him, because many other nights he had terrible headaches.
Well, I tell you, Hugo, when you look in the eyes of Abdullah the Butcher, when he sees somebody like Sabu, it's like a tiger looking at a helpless enemy, you know, and helpless prey. He's going to pounce on him and do as much more damage as he can. And it's not surprising to me that Sabu will never forget this night, because anybody that steps in the ring against a sadistic madman from the Sudan is going to be in for a night they'll never forget.
Sabu been hit by that foreign object, and Ricky Vargas not able to see what's going on here. Meanwhile, Abdullah the Butcher all over and said, well, now let's talk about the weight here. Let's talk, and now here, it's even Prophet. Now, he's a good friend of Chicky Star. So whenever Chicky Star was in trouble, Prophet was there to cover for him. Meanwhile, look at the way Abdullah the Butcher, it's all over the forehead, all over the head of Sabu. I mean, what a beating. I mean, I was close to crying when I saw that on that night.
I'll tell you what, Hugo, what more blatant example can you make that something has to be done about this man, because he's still doing things like this. This match was a couple of years ago, but still he's out there brutalizing young wrestlers, brutalizing all wrestlers, and he has no compassion. He doesn't know when to quit. He's going to inflict as much damage.
Oh, what a vicious chop, thrust right into the throat. Not only the blood, look out. This is a trademark of Abdullah the Butcher. It comes down. 450 pounds, Mr. X. When that hits you, it's all over. Look at expression on Sabu. Now, this is what makes it even more vicious. He already got the victory. You think he cared? He has never cared over a victory. Now, there is his supposed to be manager at the time. Where was Chicky Star when this happened? No, he sent Prophet to the ring. Now, this poor kid was earning the ring. Do you think Prophet cared?
Of course he didn't care. Just like when you were leading him, you didn't care. But look at the...
You don't know about that. Now, he took the metal briefcase.
Oh. What more? Anything that he gets his hands on, it's a weapon. He'll use it. Here it's a suitcase. He used a camera. He used a ring bell. He used an iron to hit the ring bell with. Look at that look in his eye, Hugo. Now, what more can you say about a look like that?
A dangerous man, an animal. He's Abdullah the Butcher, the Sudanese wrestling machine, the power in professional wrestling. That's why he's #1 in Japan, #1 wherever he goes, and that's why me, you, Eddie Grimes, and many others fear the name of Abdullah the Butcher. Unstoppable, an incredible wrestling machine. Boy, you are in for something great.
Hugo, here we have another sadistic example of the behavior of Abdullah the Butcher against Armandito Salgado. And look at it, he doesn't waste any time with this man taking the fork out and going right to his handiwork, right on the head of Armandito Salgado.
Abdullah the Butcher doing what he does best, already hurting Salgado. He's got that foreign object that people are screaming at the TV arena. And another young wrestler that's a victim of this Abdullah the Butcher. Look out. 500 pounds all over Salgado, blood everywhere.
I tell you, look at it. There's no mercy being shown here at all, Hugo. No mercy whatsoever. When you get in the ring with this sadistic madman, you expect to see no mercy because he has no idea of the definition of the word mercy. And this kid's, you know, he's in trouble. There's no question about it. The referee ought to stop the match right now because he's in a lot of trouble.
Abdullah the Butcher, meaner than ever, he's after his ultimate quest. The possession of the Universal Heavyweight Championship of the World Wrestling Council. The only important title that has eluded him, being that he was the North American Heavyweight Champion for over 2 years, a Caribbean Heavyweight Champion, World Tag Team Champion, the Japanese Heavyweight Champion, and many other regional titles. Look out! Here comes Abdullah the Butcher! Abdullah the Butcher all over Salgado! Gigantic! 500 pounds came down, splashing on Salgado. Wow.
Tell you what, 500 pounds of the madman from the Sudan, and look at him. He's just laying on the man.
There's Chicky Star.
And there's Chicky Star's manager, and look at that hideous display of gore right there. Abdullah the Butcher, the name is synonymous with blood, Hugo, and every time you see this man, every time he gets in a ring, you're going to see the crimson flow. And look at him, he's licking it off his hands. You're looking at cannibalistic instincts right here. I mean, something's got to be done about this.
He loves the taste of blood, especially from his opponents. The unstoppable Sudanese wrestling machine. Here is Chicky Star, the manager, distracted the referee. And meanwhile, more pain. Look at that object all over the head and forehead of Salgado. Blood gushing everywhere. Abdullah the Butcher, another young wrestler that falls victim to this tremendous animalistic wrestler known throughout the world as the meanest of them all, Abdullah the Butcher. And Salgado in the mat. The referee trying to get some help, perhaps a stretcher. Meanwhile, Chicky Star very happy with what has happened here. Abdullah the Butcher, close to 500 pounds. Mean. He's done the damage. He's getting ready to leave now. Maybe not.
Tell you what, you never know what this guy's going to do, Hugo. Looks like, yeah, I guess he is leaving now, but then again, he stopped.
Okay, fans, let's take you now to another of the great matches of Abdullah the Butcher. Okay, Mr. X, some comments on this match. Now we have the same Abdullah the Butcher against a top wrestler, the Enforcer Dutch Mantel.
That's right, the Enforcer Dutch Mantel, and I know Dirty Dutch real well, and he's the kind of guy that doesn't take anything from anybody. But look at Abdullah the Butcher. It doesn't even give him a chance to get in the ring, and he's all over him like flies on you-know-what. And there he throws him outside the ring. Abdullah the Butcher is just out of control. It doesn't make any difference who his opponent is, whether it's somebody like Salgado or somebody like Dirty Dutch Mantel. Look at that, a big slam on the table. The guy's out of control.
Abdullah the Butcher against another top-ranked class wrestler, Dutch Mantel, a street fighter of his own, a man with dirty tactics, Dirty Dutch Mantel. But yet Abdullah the Butcher attacked him, surprised Dutch Mantel, and now the big man has the advantage on Dutch Mantell that's already bleeding.
I tell you, it really surprised me that Dutch Mantell went in the ring the way he did, because he has to know the reputation of Abdullah the Butcher. He had to know that he had to be ready for whatever was going to come, and I don't know what he was thinking, but here's the madman reaching down to his boot. I guarantee he's going after the fork, and I guarantee you when he gets it, there's going to be nothing but damage done to him.
And here we have capacity crowd at the Veterans Stadium in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Abdullah the Butcher inflicting more pain into the face, forehead, and head of Dutch Mantell using that foreign object. Referee Ricky Vargas trying to stop Abdullah the Butcher, but there it is. The camera catches the moment where he brings that object out and nails Dutch Mantell.
Hugo, the camera does not lie. And you saw right there the foreign object. Any commissioner, any wrestling official at all out there, when they get a chance to look at these tapes, the people at home look at these tapes, there's no doubt about it. This guy comes to the ring armed with all kinds of weapons. Something has to be done about it. Here he is with a big karate thrust to the head of the Dirty Dutch Mantell, the #1 citizen of Oil Trough, Texas, and he's in a lot of trouble with the big madman, the maniac madman. He's on a tear right now, and there's nothing Ricky Vargas, the referee, there's nothing he can do about it.
Let's try to analyze a little bit of Abdullah the Butcher. 500 pounds, a lot of years in professional wrestling, the background in the martial arts, black belt in karate, second down in karate. Not only that, but the wild style, the animalistic instincts of Abdullah the Butcher, and he doesn't care if he gets fined. Let's talk about the finding of this wrestler. Mr. X, how many times commissions have fined Abdullah the Butcher, not only Japan, Canada, the United States, here in Puerto Rico, in Trinidad, and a couple of countries where he is barred from wrestling.
Well, the thing that just came to my attention, there's a whip right there's Dutch Mantell's whip. Hey, there was Fast Eddie right there.
He took it from Eddie Grice.
That's right, Fast Eddie was there, and he got Shoe Baby, and he gave it to Dutch Mantell, and now Dutch Mantell is giving Abdullah the Butcher exactly what he deserves, and that's a whipping from Shoe Baby. Now he's choking with him, and Hugo, now he's getting what he deserves right now.
Dutch Mantell using that Shoe Baby whip all over the head of Abdullah the Butcher. He wants revenge. It's a bloody mess, and he wants Abdullah to pay for it. Referee Ricky Vargas not been able to control these two gladiators. While he's got Abdullah where he wants him, he should not let him go.
Oh, absolutely not. Shoe Baby did enough damage to Abdullah the Butcher to slow him down. And Abdullah the Butcher, now he's feeling what it's like to get hit by a weapon that has no business being in the ring. Dutch Mantell, a bloody mess. Abdullah the Butcher, a bloody mess. And that's what happens whenever Abdullah the Butcher has a match. It looks like he's getting a little payback, and Dutch Mantell's giving him payback from all the injury and pain it's caused a lot of people.
Karate thrust by Abdullah the Butcher. Now he has regained control, and this could be very dangerous for Dutch Mantell as Abdullah becomes more dangerous when he's a bloody mess. And you have to remember the fact that his manager, Chicky Star, is in ringside.
I tell you what, I have to stop here and give a little credit to Abdullah the Butcher just from one fact, that whenever he goes out there, he's a 500-pound man, Hugo.
He doesn't get tired.
He never gets tired. He can go 30 minutes, he can go 60 minutes doing the kind of tactics, brawling, sadistic behavior that he does. So you have to give a little credit there, but still, he's a sadistic madman. He does things that are totally uncalled for in a squared circle, and Dutch Mantell right now is getting ready to throw a big fist right on that forehead.
Abdullah the Butcher getting shocked by Dutch Mantell, and there's no question about it, Mr. X. When we talk about Abdullah the Butcher, he's the last of the great warriors left in professional wrestling. The only one in his style, the only one that has survived all the modern changes of modern wrestling today.
Absolutely right. Abdullah the Butcher has been around professional wrestling a long time, but his style hasn't ever changed. His pace has never changed. His sadisticness has never changed.
Perhaps meaner.
Well, I think he's gotten meaner. I mean, it's obvious as the tape goes along, the people out there will see this guy's sadistic streak seems to get longer and longer. But you also have to remember,
1 second. He's got that clothes hanger there.
Chicky Star handed him a coat hanger right there, and now he's choking Dutch Mantel. I mean, totally uncalled for, Hugo.
Right in front of the referee.
Right in front of the referee. Hey, Abdullah doesn't care. He has no caring. He has no idea of authority whatsoever. Pounding away at him now on that head, choking him with the coat hanger. Something's got to be done about this.
Okay, referee rings for the bell. Not that Abdullah is shocked about this. He has never cared about being disqualified. He doesn't care. He wants to hurt Dutch Mantel, and Chicky Star is enjoying every bit of it, while Dutch Mantel is having a hard time just breathing.
Well, I don't see how, when you managed Abdullah the Butcher, you had any control over him at all. But the bell ringing means absolutely nothing to this man. The referee trying to pull him off Dirty Dutch Mantel.
Nobody controls Abdullah.
Well, I tell you,
I don't think even himself have any control.
Well, obviously, a guy with the look and the actions of Abdullah the Butcher has no self-control whatsoever, animalistic behavior. Look at this, the bell's ringing, has no regard for human life whatsoever. Dutch Mantel's in a life-fearing situation, and you know what's being done about it. There's nothing that can be done about it unless, and there's Chicky Star adding insult to injury. I know you don't approve of that.
Definitely not. Dutch Mantel in serious problems, and now even Chicky Star getting some cheap shots in, while the referee is not able to control this situation. Dutch Mantel in serious trouble here.
I tell you, Dutch Mantel probably wishes his ex-Kansas City Jayhawk partner, Bobby Jaggers, your friend, were somewhere around to try and help him out of this.
Not even Bobby Jaggers and his big mouth could save them right now. Abdullah the Butcher, unstoppable, uncontrollable, 500 pounds. He loves to hurt people. Dutch Mantel sure got some good shots with the shoe baby whip, but what a price he had to pay for it. He will never forget this night either.
Well, like we said before, Hugo, anytime you get in the ring with Abdullah the Butcher, and there he is, he still hasn't had enough punishment. He hasn't done enough damage yet. Chicky Star applauding the whole thing. But when you get in the ring with a madman like that, it's a night you never forget, and it's a night you hope you'll never see again.
Referee trying to get Abdullah out of the way. And look at him. He put somebody down by the hair or two. My goodness, one of the promoters. Victor Quiñones, one of the promoters. No respect whatsoever. Even our promoter. And now this is the kind of a man that Abdullah the Butcher is. He has no respect. That's whenever I see him and I'm close to ringside, I will disappear from there, because I know deep in his mind he wants to hurt me also, because he'll never forget a face. And I'm telling you, if he recognizes your boys, I don't know who you are, Mr. X, but you could be in a lot of trouble yourself.
Well, that's why I'm scared doing this tape, and I'm taking a lot of chances, but something has to be done about it. There's Dr. Hector Gonzalez, and anytime Abdullah the Butcher has a match, you can expect to see him around, because there's going to be stitches put in somebody's head.
You know, almost once, he almost attacked the doctor himself, Hector Gonzalez. So when we're talking about Abdullah the Butcher, it's somebody that knows no meaning of respect. He goes in there to destroy, and destroying means not caring if it's the promoter, Victor Quiñones, if it's the referee, if it's Dutch Mantel. More action coming up in just a few seconds.
En la esquina adversa con 460 libras.
Hugo, here we have another example of the continuing bloody rampage that Abdullah the Butcher has cut through the world of professional wrestling. This time, Pedro Santos. And look, he didn't even have a chance to get his ring stuff off, and Abdullah the Butcher's throwing him in a steel fence there in Catano.
What a way to treat this young, upcoming wrestling star, Pedro Santos. What made it even more sad was the fact that on that same night, Pedro Santos' wife had just given birth. What a way to celebrate.
Well, you know, the fact that you just said that, it makes me amazed that he even want to get in the ring with Abdullah the Butcher, because it seems like to me that Pedro Santos would at least want to see his kid. And when you get in the ring with a sadistic guy like Abdullah the Butcher, you don't stand a chance. And there he's got the coat hanger again, and it looks like it's going to be bad news for Pedro Santos. Maybe he won't see his kid. And Hugo, I'm telling you, something's got to be done about this, and I sure hope somebody does something about it before Abdullah the Butcher finds out who I am.
I agree with you, Mr. X, whoever you might be. Abdullah the Butcher, once again, another disqualification. Let's put another one on his record. But here, Santos, just look at that.
He's gasping for the very life itself there. His breath's cut off. He's in a lot of trouble. He's hardly moving. Abdullah the Butcher, look at that crazed look in his eye. It's obvious that this guy is out of there. There's no regard for the referee whatsoever. The bell doesn't mean anything. Abdullah's been disqualified. Pedro Santos won the match, but I think that's highly irrelevant at this stage because his life is in danger at the hands of the madman from the Sudan.
Another disqualification, another victim in this bloody career of Abdullah the Butcher. But it's not over yet because he still wants to inflict more pain into Pedro Santos, this young wrestler. Boy, I bet he regret the fact that he signed for that match.
Well, I tell you, you really have to think twice about
the referee. The way the referee is even in pain.
I tell you what, look how he's got that. Yeah, he's got that coat hanger twisted around the windpipe of Pedro Santos. I don't even see how he's breathing right here. Obviously, look at the referee. He's trying to stop Abdullah the Butcher, but there's no stopping this guy.
Take that kid away. Wow, finally the referee using some brains here. There's no way that he could have taken the hanger away from Abdullah. Just take the kid away, and now Abdullah the Butcher follows through. Look out.
I tell you what, it looks like he's not finished doing what he likes to do, and there's the referee. How's he going to stop a man like Abdullah the Butcher? You need about 10 wrestlers. Oh, right into that steel cage again.
At first, full impact, and Santos out cold after that last hit by Abdullah the Butcher. Referee trying to make him stop here. Okay, wait a minute. Now he grabs one of the...
Whoa, I tell you, he uses the speaker. I'm telling you, something's got to be done about this, Hugo. He picks up anything that's laying around. Look at that. That's a speaker. And, oh, he comes down on him again. And the referee took the coat hanger away from the Butcher. But, I mean, how many things do you have to do to try to control this man? Now he's got the coat hanger again, and it looks like he's looking for more meat.
Never an official match. Another disqualification. Another victim. A lot of pain inflicted. Let's go to another great match of Abdullah the Butcher.
Vamos nosotros a pausar a nombre de Cambio Telefónico Promotion y volvemos en breve con ustedes, mis amigos.
Okay, Hugo, here we have a match in the Roberto Clemente Coliseum for the North American Heavyweight Championship. Abdullah the Butcher defending his title against a man he beat probably about a year ago, I think, TNT, and this should be a great match because TNT, in my opinion, is one of the greatest athletes in the sport of professional wrestling right now, and he's got his hands full with the madman from the Sudan.
Abdullah the Butcher defended the title correctly, as you pointed out, Mr. X. A year after, he took the belt here in the Clemente with the help of his manager, Chiqui Star, and a foreign object that knocked out TNT called to the mat for the 3 count. The referee is Ricky Vargas, and Abdullah the Butcher ready to use all the advantage of that 500 frame body of his.
You know, Ricky Vargas seems like he always has to draw the refereeing duty with Abdullah the Butcher, and that's another point that I'd like to bring up to the people out there watching this tape in their homes is it couldn't be fun to be a referee knowing that you had to go out in the ring and try and control a man like Abdullah the Butcher, the madman from the Sudan, because, you know, really you have no control at all. Here's TNT starting to open up on Abdullah the Butcher a little bit with a big karate thrust. Oh, there was a big thrust from Abdullah the Butcher, and this is going to be a great match, Hugo.
Perhaps martial arts encountered here, as both men have that discipline of the martial arts, the karate expert on one side of Abdullah the Butcher, the taekwondo of TNT, 2 different styles, yet the martial arts, well-disciplined athletes, and with that instinct, animalistic instinct of Abdullah the Butcher, maybe he's got the edge.
Well, I tell you, TNT is a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but one thing's for sure, he is a black belt in Taekwondo, which means he can take care of himself. And I think with the fact that he is a black belt in Taekwondo, that he can take care of Abdullah the Butcher maybe a little bit better than somebody who maybe is not quite as well versed in the martial arts as TNT.
To the best of my knowledge, Mr. X, TNT is 2nd down black belt in Taekwondo, and Abdullah the Butcher has been a black belt 2nd or 3rd down in karate since probably 1976. Tremendous athletes, and anything can happen when you have this tremendous wrestlers involved here.
Well, you know, you can see the little patch there on Abdullah the Butcher's tights about the Taekwondo. But like I said, a martial arts battle between these two men, and it's in Roberto Clemente Coliseum in front of a sold-out auditorium or sold-out Coliseum, and I think TNT is going to be able to take whatever Abdullah the Butcher has to dish out.
Well, if they go to challenge each other in Taekwondo, I think that TNT has the advantage because Abdullah specializes in the form of karate. He took the Taekwondo secondary when he started wrestling in the Orient, especially in Japan, where one of his best friends owns 3 of the biggest academies in Tokyo.
Well, I tell you, like I said, I had no idea of that kind of knowledge. Most of the knowledge I know about Abdullah the Butcher is the fact that he's a sadistic man.
He dropped a foreign object.
All right, TNT got the chance to use that object before Abdullah did. He dropped it, and this is great. I'm loving this because Abdullah the Butcher is finding out what it's like to be on the receiving end of that foreign object.
Oh, Mr. X, did he do that to you? Maybe he just gave it away. Did he do that to you?
Oh, I'm not, I'm not going to say anything about that. There was a big karate thrust or something from Abdullah the Butcher. He stopped TNT, but look at that, the crimson already flowing on Abdullah the Butcher. And Hugo, I don't appreciate you trying to implement me in any kind of match with Abdullah the Butcher.
Abdullah the Butcher bleeding, but he doesn't find himself strange at this situation as he has had so many bloody matches. He's an expert on surviving techniques, and TNT drew first blood. Now let's see if he's able to maintain the offensive attack on this wild man from Sudan.
Well, it looks like TNT's already been busted open by Abdullah the Butcher, so you got both men bleeding, and that's a trademark of Abdullah the Butcher the match. But TNT is a tough, rough customer, and I guarantee you,
the blood
it's coming like a river now. Abdullah the Butcher, you know, I think when he sees that, that's when he turns his most craziness, his most sadisticness. The more blood he sees, the crazier
he loves that. He loves to see that blood. That's why a lot of promoters are afraid of Abdullah the Butcher. Look at that body tackle. 500 pounds coming towards TNT. He throws him out. Abdullah will use every inch of the ring, and if that's not enough, then he will use the outside. And he even operates better when he's outside the ring because he'll take a hold of a stick, of a policeman's, anything that he find, a weapon, a handcuff, whatever, he will use, even a bell, anything. And now TNT getting some good karate chops all over the head. Look at the block on Abdullah.
I tell you what, there's Abdullah the Butcher. You got to give a little more credit. But there's a big savant kick from Abdullah the Butcher and a big headbutt on TNT. You know, Abdullah the Butcher has been in the ring wars a lot of years ago, and he always manages to go out there. He can take a tremendous amount of punishment and keep coming back for more, and that's exactly what he did right there. And now, oh, there's a illegal low blow by TNT, and I guarantee you can be 500 pounds, and that'll take the wind out of your sail.
Another one by TNT. No nice guys involved here, just pure survival techniques. It doesn't have to look beautiful. It's just a matter of protecting your life. When you're against Abdullah, you will see somebody like TNT going for some illegal techniques. They have been getting some good shots each other with karate chops. Look at that. Ooh. Whoa. Tremendous karate action in this match, and Abdullah at his best here, taking the best that TNT has to offer, but so has TNT.
Oh yeah, you know, here they are exchanging headbutts, they're exchanging karate chops, they're exchanging karate thrusts.
Did you see that kick?
Oh yeah, there's a big kick. TNT has one of the greatest spin kicks. Oh, there's another big boot to the face of Abdullah the Butcher. But TNT has a lot of great kicks, and he's laying those kicks in right now. And Abdullah the Butcher's
oh, right on the back of the head.
He's barely hanging on. Abdullah the Butcher trying to stay on his feet, and there's a kick to the back of the head. TNT, his feet are as much of a weapon as his hands are. Oh, there's another kick to Abdullah the Butcher, and he's taken there. He finally sends the big black man from the Sudan on the mat. And I tell you, Hugo, a tremendous struggle. TNT is giving it everything he's got. Hey, but don't count Abdullah the Butcher out, because like I said, he can take it through. There he is, fighting a guy. Abdullah the Butcher brings out the animalistic instincts in anybody.
Well, it took a lot of combination kicks and karate blows by TNT, but the big man from Sudan is finally down. And believe me, if TNT keeps the pressure, he might have the title right here.
Well, you know, TNT, Abdullah the Butcher beat TNT for the title, like you said, a year before this match, and Chicky Star had something to do with that. So really, you know, it was an illegal win for Abdullah the Butcher. Still, he's a champion. And I know TNT is one of the most fierce competitors you'll ever want to run into in a sport of professional. Oh, there's a big karate kick by Abdullah the Butcher. Hey, for a man that's 500 pounds, you have to give him a little credit. He can move quickly.
A lot of credit is due, 500 pounds. He doesn't get tired. He uses every bit of his weight to his advantage to terrorize and to do more damage to his opponents. Now TNT, the young wrestler that he is, he must be ready to overcome this difficult time in this match, because sometimes you could come so close to defeating the big man and yet not get the big victory. And in an athlete like TNT, this could be devastating for his wrestling career.
Well, you got to give Abdullah Butcher a little bit of edge here, because he has all those years of experience in the ring, all the great battles that he's had throughout the years in the sport of professional wrestling, and TNT bleeding profusely from the head. And now Abdullah the Butcher put that 500 pounds of weight on his throat, cut off the wind supply a little bit. But hey, don't count TNT out, because he's a rough, tough guy. But like you said, Abdullah the Butcher, 500 pounds. He utilizes every pound of that poundage. He utilizes everything in the ring, the size of the ring, the outside of the ring. He's not going to take no for an answer.
A packed house at the Clemente Coliseum. Everybody watching as this two men have gone for all the marbles. Blood included, guts included. The title is on the line, for more important than that, their prestige of being better than the other one. And Abdullah so far has taken the best shots TNT has to offer. The big man gets ready for his trademark, that Sudanese crushing flying elbow. Whoa!
Sudanese meat cleaver. Not too many people get up from that. And look at that. TNT kicked out. And I have to tell you,
we're talking about some guts here.
Yeah. Oh, that's the first time I've ever seen anybody kick out.
Look at the way the cameras shake with the vibrations of the packed house at the Clemente Coliseum. Everyone here supporting this TNT. Mind you, that people do respect Abdullah the Butcher for the warrior that he is, because you have to give him credit. He's a top customer. Wow, look at his maneuver. A monkey flip.
I tell you what, TNT, look, the people are behind him. When he starts shaking and vibrating, here he goes for that big lateral leg drop on top of the madman from the Sudan. He's got things going his way right now, and these people are behind him, and there he goes into his, what I call swatting mosquitoes. He's ready to start dishing out some punishment.
Okay, here we go. TNT's got Abdullah the Butcher in trouble. He's looking to get the big win, recover the title that he has been without a year of that prestigious belt in his possession. Meanwhile, Abdullah the Butcher in deep trouble. Now he's got to be careful here, because the referee might stop the match because of blood, and that will mean that Abdullah will retain the title, because you cannot win the title if the match ends because the referee is stopping it by blood. Has to be a submission. There's a cobra
hold. There he goes for the cobra hold. He'll go. I was hoping he might get a chance to put it on him in this match, because I tell you, when TNT slaps that cobra, but Abdullah the Butcher, then again, the experience of him, he's got his foot on the rope. He knows where he's at in the ring at all times, and he utilizes that to his advantage. And there's a big elbow drop by TNT, but hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. A titanic battle between two great athletes, and that's right, Abdullah the Butcher's an athlete. He doesn't have to resort to the tactics that he uses. That's what he chooses to do, but still, he's an athlete.
And TNT attempting for the pinfall, which is not easy on Abdullah the Butcher. Their North American Heavyweight Championship of the World Wrestling Council on the line. TNT the challenger, Abdullah the Butcher the champion. It has come down to the nitty-gritty of things here at the Clemente Coliseum as TNT chops away on the big man. Looks for distance. There's the masher. That karate kick. Wow. Devastating, yet he's not down.
I'll tell you what, that puts any normal man down right there, that big spin kick. Well, really just a jump kick, but look at that. Abdullah the Butcher still leaning up against those ropes. And I tell you, Hugo, you got it. Oh, there's another one, 3 in a row. Nobody stands up for that.
He's out on his feet.
I tell you, he has to be out on his feet. Here he goes. Looks like he's going to do one more time. Not even the classic kick right there, but Abdullah the Butcher.
The reflexes.
Oh, yeah.
You got to give credit to Abdullah. He tried to take a lot of the impact of the kick, even though he got cut on this last one. Here comes TNT. He charges, and Abdullah moves out of the way just in the nick of time. TNT goes out of the ring. Look out. It almost looked like Abdullah was out cold, and he sidestepped TNT. Now back with more action. TNT comes up, and now he pulls the boot off Abdullah the Butcher. The big man is dragged out of the ring, and things are looking to become more vicious.
Tell you what, TNT grabbed a hold of that leg and pulled the big man down. That's not easy to do. Now it looks like he's getting ready to take that big leg of the big black man and slam it against the ring post, and that's exactly what he does. And I tell you, I don't care how big you are, Hugo, when that happens to you, you're going to feel some pain.
Okay, the referee is counting. Both men are outside. Let's remind all our people watching that the referee is counted. The title is on the line. The title will not change hands on a count out. So this is very bad for the challenger. The champion has nothing to lose. This is just a personal issue now. TNT, the worst here, because he cannot win the title outside. He's only risking more injuries as Abdullah the Butcher keeps the pressure. Okay, the bell has rang. This match is officially over. Abdullah has retained the title on a count out. There's no winner in this match, but the champion, Abdullah, retains the title on one bloody encounter at a packed house at the Roberto Clemente Coliseum. This is not going to be the last battle between these two giants of the martial arts.
Bueno, Padín, está sucediendo aquí algo. Señor Arturo de Butcher está programado para luchar con the Great.
Okay, Hugo, here we have a match with Abdullah the Butcher, and he was supposed to wrestle the Great Kabuki, and apparently something happened to the Great Kabuki. He hadn't showed up, and Abdullah the Butcher does not look like a happy camper to me because he doesn't have anybody to go in there and beat up.
He can never wait. You know, 2 minutes if he's waiting, he goes crazy. He goes berserk. He has destroyed hotel rooms, cars, places in airports. He's a man that cannot stay still. He was supposed to wrestle the Great Kabuki. He wanted Kabuki in the ring, and the referee explaining to him that the Kabuki did not make it into the dressing room. The referee rang the bell, and he's going to officially award the match to Abdullah the Butcher by default.
Well, I think these people at ringside here at Hiram Bithorn Stadium in San Juan should be a little bit intimidated by this, because if Kabuki doesn't show up, then, you know, this man's not going to leave the ring without beating somebody up, without abusing somebody. Maybe he'll go out here and pick one of these people up at ringside. I hope not, but like I said, if I were sitting at ringside, I'd have my mask on, and I'd be worried about it.
For some reason, this match looks peculiar to me. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of familiar to me.
Well, what do you mean familiar? Is it something like, I hear your voice there on the microphone? So
I was doing the Spanish narrating for this match was televised to all the Spanish countries. Oh my goodness! Don't tell me that's the one. I was doing the color. Oh, look at that!
Oh, what's going on here? You used to be this guy's manager. What's he doing slapping you like that? I don't. What's going on here?
Oh, you're talking about a man that, like I said to you before, has no respect for nobody. I wasn't doing anything. I was just doing my own little job in the corner, making some money, doing the color for the Spanish countries, and I got attacked. Well, what do you have to say about that, Mr. X?
Well, what I have to say is that I don't know. After seeing that, I kind of feel a little bit bad about getting on you at the beginning of the tape for bringing this man in.
Well, lucky that the doctor was right there. Okay, fans, let's take a look at another match of Abdullah the Butcher. Okay, here we go. Abdullah the Butcher, international competition, taking on the young Japanese wrestler, Ricky Fuyuki. Your comments, Mr. X?
Well, my comment here is you're seeing the typical Abdullah the Butcher tactics that the people out there have seen on this whole tape. He attacks the man right when the bell rings before he's ready. And, 500 pounds, why does he have to do that?
Like a gigantic human shark.
Oh, it's exactly right. He steps in that ring, and it's like taking a collar off a maniac. Here he is, taking off his robe or his headpiece. He's got the belt of Fuyuki wore in the ring, the white karate belt, choking him with that. Hey, Abdullah Butcher is totally out of control, Hugo, and you should know because as we just got finished seeing, you got slapped by the big man.
Nobody is safe from Abdullah the Butcher, includes commissioners, promoters, wrestling fans, and especially wrestlers. Fuyuki getting some good karate shots, but look at that, the weight difference. That's incredible. 500 pounds, and the young guy could not move him, like a towing truck.
Well, I tell you, Abdullah the Butcher is just like a big rock monolith that he's not going to move unless he wants to be moved, and he didn't want to be moved right there. Here he takes Fuyuki, throws him outside the ring.
This could be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, as soon as you see that, he's going to come right out the ring behind this kid, and he's going to take him. He's probably going to jam his head into the fence. He's going to throw it into the turnbuckle post. He's going to throw it into a table. He's going to do something there right into the table, and it's nothing but do damage.
Okay, now he's close to the camera equipment. Now he grabs a chair right on the head of Fuyuki. Now the table, the timekeeper's table, all over the throat, the chest area of Ricky Fuyuki, and he's getting close to where the cameras are and the setting board of the camera. Look at this guy, Abdullah the Butcher. He is vicious. Look out, he comes close again. He takes the setting up board of the camera all over the head of Fuyuki.
I'll tell you what, Hugo, anything that he can get his hands on, I hate to keep repeating myself, but look at the kid right there. He's in a lot of pain. He's in a lot of suffering going on right there at the hands of the maniac, the Abdullah the Butcher. I mean, how many times have you got into the ring and expected to get hit over the head with a TV board like that?
I have always believed that when it comes to people like Abdullah the Butcher, I think professional wrestling should have some laws, some requirements where the referee could stop the match at any given point where he does believe that the other opponent has no chance whatsoever to pull a big victory over a man like Abdullah the Butcher, because that would only be protecting the life of these young wrestlers that are trying to make a name for themselves in this very tough profession.
Well, if that's the case, and Abdullah the Butcher would never even know there's 500 pounds right on top of Fuyuki. And I tell you what, the 1, 2, 3 is irrelevant at this stage.
Well, just like a triple whopper on top of Fuyuki, and Chicky Star comes in. Look at it, he's trying to talk to him gently, but I don't think this is yet over. I think Abdullah the Butcher wants to inflict more pain, more damage on Fuyuki. He throws him out. Abdullah the Butcher, he goes outside. Look out.
Here he goes into the fence, Hugo. Look, like I said, the match is over. This is totally uncalled for. Abdullah the Butcher looks like he's looking for something else to use. There he picks up the table, and I don't know if I want to watch this or not. Oh, he throws that table at him. Hey, again, something has to be done about these kind of tactics, Hugo. All the matches that we've seen throughout this whole tape, and there's a few more yet to come, all is evidence against this man, and something has to be done in order to stop the bloodshed that this guy creates.
It is approved on the style of this Abdullah the Butcher. He loves to hurt opponents, especially young upcoming stars like this. Ricky Fuyuki, prior to this match, getting some good wins in Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, he met this mean machine, Abdullah the Butcher, and it was all over for him. More action following up in just a few seconds.
Amigos televidentes, finalmente nos permitieron.
Here's the other side of the coin, Hugo. Abdullah the Butcher himself getting stitched up right here, and I bet you could put a penny in every one of those scars in his head. Quarters, well, okay, maybe quarters, but look at this man right here. Look at the abuse that head's taken. Sure, he's dished out. Look at that cut over the eye there. It had to be at least 8 stitches there. And here's the doctor sewing up that head. And, this is a very graphic display of exactly what the world of professional wrestling is all about, the dark side, so to speak.
So we can't say that he has hurt a lot of men, but there's been a lot of guys that have also inflicted a lot of ugly scars and wounds on Abdullah the Butcher. His whole body's got stitches. His legs, his whole body. 500 pounds of a lot of stitches, and well, we can't say he deserves every bit of those. Abdullah the Butcher, a hard man to deal with. Wrestling fans, we have special footage here. This happened in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain, National Stadium. This is an exclusive match that was acquired by E&G Productions. Abdullah the Butcher defending the West Indies Heavyweight Championship against Carlos Colon. International competition just to prove the point on the rivalry of Carlos Colon and Abdullah the Butcher, and the intensity that also involves the fans in this feud where Abdullah is involved. Referees, Mr. Parker from Trinidad.
Tell you, Hugo, anytime you get involved in a rivalry like this between Carlos Colon and Abdullah the Butcher, emotions run high. And when you get those emotions running high, sometimes it boils over and carries over to the people watching the match themselves. And when you get a situation like that, you got a potential riot situation. And, you know, I have a feeling that by the time this match gets over with, that there's going to be a lot more than just the two wrestlers involved in this match.
Okay, Abdullah the Butcher ready to get it on. So is Carlos Colon, no strangers to each other. One of the most explosive rivalries in professional wrestling. Carlos Colon and Abdullah the Butcher. Okay, referee trying to check Abdullah the Butcher. That's an impossible task.
Well, you know, Abdullah the Butcher, you can check him all you want to. It looks like he's trying to do a thorough job. But my guess would be that somewhere on that 500-pound body, he'd be in the boot.
You probably have to run him to one of those airport x-ray machines.
Yeah, you have to run him through a metal detector. They need one of those things to run him up and down his legs, because I guarantee you, inside one of those boots or something, he's got that fork hidden somewhere.
Would that machine go crazy with the noise when he comes through? Okay, Abdullah the Butcher in the corner, Carlos Colon all over the champion. And like I said to you before, there's no pretty side when Carlos Colon and Abdullah go at it, and now he's going on the center of the ear.
Tell you what, Carlos Colon going right to business on hand on Abdullah the Butcher on that ear. You know, Carlos Colon is, you know, he's a nice man, he's a great man, but like I said a couple of times in this tape, the people have seen these two in action throughout this whole tape. There's no love lost at all between these two men.
Well, there was even some judicial involvement here in the Republic of Trinidad because of this match. Some other things occurred, and E&G Productions had to get this tape from the police department in Trinidad because this tape was taken as evidence by the police of Trinidad.
Well, I tell you, I haven't had a chance to see this tape yet, Hugo. I've heard a lot of stories about this particular match right here. The first time I've actually had a chance to see it on video because nobody thought the video existed. But E&G Productions managed to get their hands on it, and I have a feeling before it's all over with, the people out there are going to see something they've never seen before.
Okay, Carlos Colon all over the ear now. Some blood coming out. Abdullah the Butcher in the corner. So far, he has not thrown one punch.
Tell you what, so far it's been all Carlos Colon, which is very unusual because usually Abdullah the Butcher is the one that starts the action by jumping his opponent. But right now, the madman from the Sudan looks a little surprised at what's going on right now.
If there is a secret or a way to try to beat Abdullah, it must be the consistency and the ability of take out the punishment that Abdullah could dish out. And if there is a way to beat him, you have to look right at his eyes and don't let him intimidate you with as much punishment as he could throw at you. You got to fight him back, and that's what Carlos Colon is doing. He's biting the ear right now. Referee Parker attempting to control his match, and Mr. X, you know that's impossible.
That's exactly right. Referee is just another body in the ring as far as that goes. When you get these two men together in a squared circle, Carlos Colon biting on the ear, going, you know, taking advantage of whatever opening.
You hear Abdullah screaming,
oh, yeah,
like a beast in pain.
Well, I tell you, you know, just like you brought up a few minutes ago, Hugo, when you get in the ring with this madman from the Sudan, you can't let him know that you're scared. It's just like when you're out in the wild and you're confronted with a wild animal. If you let them know that you're scared and they see the fear in your eyes, then you don't stand a chance.
I would love to get the impressions of Carlos Colon once he sees this VHS. I would like for him to analyze some of this rivalry, and perhaps on the next production of E&G, we might get some of his comments on Carlos' viewpoint on this rivalry of Abdullah the Butcher himself, because believe me, if there's one guy that knows about Abdullah must be Carlos because of the many, many battles where he has been involved and his life has been in danger. And I think sometimes the man that knows the other man better is that rival.
I'll tell you, you're absolutely right, Hugo. Carlos Colon probably knows more about Abdullah the Butcher than any other wrestler in the sport of professional wrestling. He knows how to deal with him. He knows how to handle him. He knows what it takes to get prepared for a match with Abdullah the Butcher. And we're seeing evidence of that right now. Look at him. He's going to town on him. Abdullah the Butcher hadn't had a chance for any offense whatsoever. It's been all Carlos Colon to this point.
Let's give credit not just to Carlos Colon, but to all other courageous professional wrestlers that have been in the ring with Abdullah, because just signing for a match with him deserves credit.
Well, you know, sure it deserves credit because, as we mentioned throughout this tape, anytime you step in a squared circle with this guy, you're putting your life on the line. And Carlos Colon has done it all kinds of times. So you have to sit down and wonder, well, is he crazy or does he know what he's doing? And I know Carlos Colon, and he's a tough son of a gun, and he's going to take whatever he has to take. He's going to do whatever he has to do to take care of Abdullah the Butcher. And I think that right now he's doing what has to be done, trying to slow down the madman from the Sudan. But you know, Abdullah the Butcher can take a tremendous amount of punishment and come back for more.
Good shots by Carlos. He's been hit in that area around the ear where he's already been in pain, bleeding, and if there is something that is stopping Abdullah, I think it's been those shots to the side of the ear. Maybe he's a little bit confused, maybe not able to mount an offensive, and this could be the opportunity that has been long awaited by one Carlos Colon.
Well, it seems like if you kick that guy in the head enough, there's not enough brains there to really amount to too much. It wouldn't take a whole lot to disorient this man. I don't see Chicky Star or anybody else out there trying to manage this guy, trying to give him some advice. So I guess he's out there on his own. And right now he looks a little disoriented. Maybe he's lost, maybe he's confused, and maybe he's wondering how in the heck Carlos Colon could be doing this to him when usually he's the one that's at the point of advantage at this time in the match. But hey, I've got all the confidence in the world that this sadistic guy is going to find some way to stop Carlos Colon and start dishing out his kind of punishment.
Mr. X, may we gather now that perhaps he has hurt you in the past, or one of your relatives, or perhaps some member of your family?
Well, let's just be safe to say that I've had a lot of personal friends that have come to injury with Abdullah the Butcher. When I was in Kansas City, Missouri, I saw him take a young guy that had never been, maybe wrestled 3 or 4 matches, and he got him in the ring, started using the fork, opened him up like a cantaloupe, and it was one of the most glorious spectacles I've ever seen in my life, a personal friend of mine, and that's as far as I'm going to take it. All I can say is something's got to be done to stop this guy, and I think Carlos Colon's on the right track.
Well, to say the least here, if there's any of the managers or lawyers of Abdullah the Butcher watching this BHS, I was just contracted to do this tape. Nothing personally involved here against Mr. Abdullah the Butcher or his acquaintances. I've just been contracted by ENG Productions. And having stated that, let's go back into this match where Abdullah has regained control, and now using that violent style, he's all over Carlos Colon. And the fans here in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago worried now, as they know once Abdullah gets going, it is hard to stop him.
Well, you know, Hugo, like I told you, I've just been waiting for this to happen. A couple of big karate thrusts to the throat of Carlos Colon, a couple of headbutts to the head of Carlos Colon, and there looks like a cheap shot, low blow, below the waist shot by Abdullah the Butcher. Now he's got Carlos Colon in trouble. Now we're going to start seeing the sadistic side of the madman for the Sudan, the maniac, the butcher. You know, any adjective you want to use to describe Abdullah the Butcher is appropriate to him because he's opening up on Carlos Colon. And hey, when you step in the ring with this guy, this is the kind of punishment you expect to take.
Okay, Abdullah, it's on the go right now. Carlos Colon in trouble. Here comes Abdullah right to the eyes. And fans that have followed this rivalry, they sure know how much damage Abdullah has done to the eyes of Carlos Colon. A lot of blood here on Abdullah's face and forehead, but now he's got the advantage. Carlos Colon is down. West Indies Heavyweight Championship match, Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are in Port of Spain, and nothing can save Carlos but his own guts an ability to overcome, if he can, this big man.
Tell you what, I just noticed a couple of minutes ago, and he probably still has it, that sadistic smile on the face of Abdullah the Butcher when he's inflicting punishment. Oh, he blocked a shot there by Carlos Colon, and that big karate thrust. I tell you what, Abdullah the Butcher's going crazy on Carlos Colon right now. You got to give the guy a little bit of credit. He's sadistic, he's a maniac, but he's got his tactics, his strategy in the ring, and it comes from a lot of experience and hurting a lot of people. But you know, Hugo, then again, getting back to the whole point of this tape by ENG Productions is to point out, because you know some of these tapes you didn't think existed. You were surprised by a couple of things that's happened on this tape. But the point of the matter is something's got to be done to try to get some kind of control on this individual before he ends up virtually killing.
Okay, a low back kick to the groin area of Abdullah the Butcher, and I think he hit the target as Abdullah goes down on his knees, and now Carlos Colon all over punching Abdullah the Butcher. Good shots by Carlos, and we might point out here, Mr. X, that no one is safe with Abdullah, not his managers, nobody. I don't think even Abdullah the Butcher is safe from Abdullah the Butcher. He might be called his own worst enemy, as he doesn't know the meaning of respect, and that's what has got him in a lot of trouble throughout his wrestling career. Successful athlete, yes, but boy, has he been fined by many commissions, and also involving a lot of things that maybe we should not discuss here. But he's a vicious, vicious man. Outside the ring at Port of Spain, knocking the head of Carlos against the ring post. Well, we're talking about some heavy damage here. Referee counting, he's not really worried about this.
Oh no, Abdullah the Butcher, eventually sometime during his match, he's going to take the action outside the ring. Now he's taking Carlos's head, pounding it into the turnbuckle post. Now it's busted Carlos Colon's head wide open. And I know Abdullah the Butcher's enjoying this, but Hugo, look at the people standing.
Yes, now we must point out that there are some wrestlers, some local wrestlers from Trinidad that are around the ringside area. This big confrontation not only got the attention of the people of Trinidad, but also the wrestlers wanted to be that close in case things got out of hand, just as they are right now. So we can expect almost anything to happen here. So let's not get alarmed if anything wild happens here, because remember, the wild man is in the ring. He's in action, and he hates Carlos, and so does Carlos, and it's a bloody battle. Trinidad is the setting point, West Indies championship, and the referee does not have a clue of what to do here.
Well, the officials in the Port of Spain obviously realized that there's something going on in this match.
He's an idiot. Let's put it that way. He's a damn idiot, if I might use that word, because at this given point in this match, I think he should have already stopped the match, because things have been out of control, only to provoke something to go out of disaster here. He should have stopped the match maybe minutes ago.
Oh yeah, when they were both outside the ring and the people started coming to their feet, you can start feeling, even standing there watching this tape, you can feel the hatred those people had. It's going to get to the point where this thing can get out of control. I mean, when you have to get a tape from the police commissioner from the Port of Spain, obviously there's things in this tape that people don't want seen, but ENG Productions managed to obtain this tape, and I guarantee you, we're not going to be disappointed if you want to see some kind of riot, or obviously something's going to happen. You're right, the match should have been stopped. The referee is an idiot.
Okay, Carlos Colon, well, I don't know how he got some energy back together, but he's fighting back. And he's been hurt, because when Abdullah knocked him against the ring post, his knees just buckled and he went down the hard way. But only that courage of a professional athlete and that pride of being in professional wrestling, is beautiful and dangerous sport that we love and respect. It's what's given him the strength to battle. Look at that kick by Abdullah the Butcher. Boy, he wants to end the career of one Carlos Colon.
Well, it's just like a tiger having a having a young prey or something laying on the mat. He's going to toy with it. He's going to play with it like a cat toys with a mouse before he finally goes in for the final outcome. But here he throws him back outside the ring, Hugo, and I guarantee you, I'm getting scared for both these men right here, because when you got a situation that looks like it's brewing right now, there's the referee trying, oh, there's a big kick by that little pointed point on the boot of Abdullah the Butcher, and he's been known to probably carry lead or something in there too, obviously something to do damage. Carlos Colon's in a lot of trouble. He's lost a lot of blood. He's very weak, and we got a potentially dangerous situation.
Referee should have stopped the match way back ago. There was no way that the title could change hands on this situation. I think the match should have been thrown out. A rematch should have been set up without going to the extremes of endangering the life of Carlos Colon or Abdullah the Butcher to the extremes now, where both men are faced with a situation where they cannot back away from this battle, and the referee just lost control of this championship bout. And you know that the way they hate each other, they were not going to refuse this confrontation.
Well, you know, it surprises me that whenever a match like this occurs between Abdullah the Butcher and Carlos Colon, why don't the commissioners appoint 2 referees or 3 referees for the match? Put 2 in the ring and 1 on the floor.
Are you an ex-referee, Mr. X?
Well, no, I'm not an ex-referee. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I am. You know, don't keep implicating me, Hugo, because, you know, my life's on the line here. If Abdullah the Butcher finds out who I am, then there's no place for me to run and hide. He's going to find me one of these days, and he's going to take care of me the way he's trying to take care of Carlos Colon. I don't want that to happen. Do you want that to happen?
No, no. Once again, if one of the lawyers of Abdullah the Butcher is watching this tape, or his manager, Chicky Star, I have nothing to do. I am not responsible of this BHS. I'm just doing my duty here, contracted by ENG Productions. So I am not responsible for any other comments on this BHS. Abdullah the Butcher all over. Carlos Colon, more blood here. And look at Abdullah just enjoying, touching the blood from the head, from the forehead of Carlos. More damage on the head of Carlos Colon, and he wants to hurt him bad. And the things are just out of control. People surrounding the ring, professional wrestlers trying to get the people to back away, and even some wrestlers are having arguments with each other as they want Carlos to win, and the other ones want Abdullah to win. So we have a complete situation out of hand here.
I tell you what, you got riot conditions here, and there's that big Sudanese meat cleaver one more time on the body of Carlos Colon, and he kicks out. I don't know where he's getting the strength to do that, but you know, this referee has had no control of the match from the very beginning. And like you said, he's a damn idiot. Excuse me, ENG Productions, for saying that. But there's that big meat cleaver again. Again, Carlos kicks out, but look at the people standing around the ring. Hugo, it's a bad situation.
No room for survival here, as both gladiators have been cornered. Okay, now he's counting here. He has 5. Oh, wait a minute. He has just stopped the match. 1 second here. Referee stops the match because of the blood conditions of Carlos Colon, and Abdullah the Butcher retains the West Indies Heavyweight Championship. Then why the heck didn't he do this 10 minutes ago if he finally had to do this?
Hey, I'm sitting here baffled by this particular decision. I mean, if you're going to stop the match for blood, like you said, why not stop it 10 minutes ago before the people got fired up the way they are right now? You know, this guy, I've never seen him before, Hugo. Maybe you know who he is, but I hope he never refereed any more matches after this because he's incompetent.
Let's just point out that perhaps the fear of being involved in this match, maybe even that the referee wanted to be involved directly with this. And the results are clear as they are right now. A bloody mess, no positive results. Here's another one of the wrestlers coming in to try to stop Carlos. Here we have one of the Trinidadian wrestlers. He gets thrown out. Abdullah the Butcher, he has retained the championship. Carlos Colon disappointed. We have some other relatives of the wrestlers. We have some people from the press. Jam-packed National Stadium. And Carlos Colon, he still has the guts, even though he lost the match, not by a pinfall because he did not get pinned, but the blood was just gushing out of his forehead. And I don't know why is this wrestler trying to stop Abdullah when he knows that there's no one that could stop him.
Well, you know, you see people on the outside trying to grab at Abdullah the Butcher, trying to get him out of the ring.
That's one of the wrestling coaches from Trinidad, and everybody just going crazy here. And that just goes to prove that this situation could have been stopped. Here we have some wrestlers here. They have their own private little war going here. We have some wrestlers fighting each other, like some like Abdullah, some like Carlos, and a lot of things went wrong here. The final result on this battle here, Carlos Colon losing because of blood, the chance to become the West Indies champion. Abdullah the Butcher retains the title. More blood adds more into this rivalry. The hate-free rivalry between Carlos Colon increasing, and even the other wrestler got a black eye here. And let's put it this way, referee could have stopped, he could have stopped this tremendous gross battle here by stopping the battle 6 or 7 minutes ago. The final result, Abdullah still the champion, and necessary roughness happened here, and still some more outside the ring. Your comments on this, Mr. X?
I'll tell you what, I've never seen this before. This is crazy. This is riot conditions. What's going on here?
We have Frankie Washington involved here. We have Thunderbolt Williams involved here. We got 2 other wrestlers involved here. They should not be participating in this battle, but then again, referee was responsible. Okay, wrestling fans, let's take you to another battle of Abdullah the Butcher.
Tell you, Hugo, when you talk about rivalries, look at the man standing in the ring right there, not there, but there is Frank Brody, one of the biggest rivalries ever in the sport of professional wrestling, the late Frank Brody and Abdullah the Butcher, and look at it. It takes no time for them to go to town, and Frank Brody, if there's ever a man in the sport of professional wrestling that can handle Abdullah the Butcher one-on-one, it's that big man right there on your screen.
Both use the same method of intimidation, of destruction in the ring, and not only that, but the great wrestling ability that they possess, and the big names that they had over Australia, in Canada, United States, Japan, big legends of professional wrestling, and of course, that would bring him up to that feud of who was the better one, and believe me, they had some great encounters. Bruiser Brody, a great friend of mine, Abdullah the Butcher, 2 tremendous wrestlers. Here's one match taking place in Kawas, and the fans were up for it.
I tell you what, Hugo, you know, I've seen through my travels over the States and the Caribbean, I've seen Frank Brody and Abdullah the Butcher battle in Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas.
They had some great ones in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, yeah, San Antonio, Texas, Puerto Rico. I mean, any place that ever had these 2 men. And look at that look on Abdullah the Butcher, bleeding profusely. If there ever was a man that could handle the Butcher like he's being handled right now, it's that great man in the ring who was a very good friend of mine, Bruiser Frank Brody. And there Abdullah the Butcher pulls out the object, and it just goes to show you that even Frank Brody can be susceptible to the use of that fork right there.
Okay, fans, you might notice some failures in our tape. This match trying to be rescued by ENG Productions, so you could witness some of these great rivalries, have the opportunity to see these great wars that were almost erased by the people in charge at the time before ENG got the rights to produce this matches and for this VHS. The important thing right here is that Abdullah the Butcher has used his foreign object to attack Bruiser Brody.
That's right. You know, Hugo, just like you said, the quality of this tape has a little bit of, to be desired. But, you know, really, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make any difference, because this is a historic tape right here, an historic match. Anytime you see Abdullah the Butcher and Bruiser Brody in the ring together, the late Bruiser Brody, it's something that has to be preserved regardless of what kind of condition it's in. And I don't think the people out there are going to have any problems with it, because, hey, you got 2 of the giants in the sport of professional wrestling going at each other like there's no tomorrow. And as far as that's concerned, the video could be barely unseeable, and it'd still be worth watching.
Well, it's just my duty here to just let the fans know that we do notice the problems, that we don't want them to jump up and adjust their VHS, because it has nothing to do with their VHS. Let's go back into the match. Abdullah the Butcher all over Bruiser Brody, the big giant Brody, in one of these great battles with Abdullah the Butcher. Look at Abdullah. Awesome. Abdullah the Butcher over the strong Frank Bruiser Brody.
Ooh, I tell you what, you know, just like I said, Frank Brody's the one that could handle Abdullah the Butcher, but on the other hand, Abdullah the Butcher is one of the few people that can handle the big Bruiser Brody the way he's handling him right now, because Bruiser Brody's trademark was going out and beating people up, and nobody did it any better than he did. But Abdullah the Butcher has kind of got him going a little bit right now. But I have a feeling that Frank Brody is going to find exactly what it takes to stop Abdullah the Butcher. And, you know, right here, they're outside the ring. And every match I've ever seen of Frank Brody and Abdullah the Butcher, it didn't stay in the ring very long.
It went to ring trucks, TV trucks, dressing rooms, into the audience. They did not stop. And believe me, if Abdullah could take some punishment, Bruiser Brody is another of those true legends in this great sport of professional wrestling. We are very proud of people like Frank Brody, what they achieved, what they gave to our sport. The referee had no choice but to disqualify both men fighting outside the ring, and he didn't want to even come close to these two gladiators, in which we don't blame.
I'll tell you, when you got these two guys going at it, there's
the specialty, the chair. Yeah. No one could use that chair to his advantage more than this man.
I tell you, Bruiser Brody was a chair expert. If anybody could wield a chair with a lot of tenacity and violence, it was Frank Brody, and they're trying to battle over the chair. But look at him, he's still beating Abdullah on the head with that chair. Hey, he's a chair expert.
Well, one time I wrestled against Bruiser Brody, Carlos Colon and me against him and his manager, and I got hit on the back, knocked me out cold. I was in pain for over 6 months. Did he ever hit you, Mr. X, with a chair?
Well, I can personally say I never experienced a chair myself, but then again...
So you are a wrestler? You are a wrestler?
I was a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I witnessed him use a chair on several occasions, and I've never seen anybody hit anybody any harder with a chair than Bruiser Brody. And, you know, what can I say? There's only going to be one Frank Brody, regardless of whatever happens throughout the history of professional wrestling.
There will be only one Bruiser Brody, and there will be only one Abdullah the Butcher. No question about that. Now he's got the boot. He's all over the big man from Sudan. Match has been thrown out, and Abdullah heads back into the dressing room. Here comes Brody. It's all over. We're going to go to another exciting match. Meanwhile, Brody, it's get ready in case Abdullah comes back. Stay tuned. More action coming up. Wrestling fans, now into another match. Abdullah the Butcher against Fabulous Lance, and he once known throughout the United States, Canada, Australia as Lance Von Erich when he was with the Fritz. And for those identifying purposes, we do have to mention that he was known with that last name.
Well, yeah, you got to mention that, Hugo, but you know, the fact of the matter is that he never really was a Von Erich, and that was always brought out too. So, you know, whatever opinion people want to make, it's their own opinion. But the fact of the matter is, he's in there against a madman from the Sudan, and hey, he backed him up a little bit there. And Lance, the Fabulous Lance, does know a little bit of martial arts. He can kick a little bit and chop a little bit, but I think he's got his work cut out for him against Abdullah the Butcher.
Wearing no boots against a man that has the loaded both Sudanese boots and the 500 pounds. I think it's disadvantage to this young wrestler. Lance in trouble, and here we have Abdullah the Butcher doing what he does best, inflicting more pain. As the match is already just about 2 minutes, he's already doing some damage to the head of Fabulous Lance.
Well, I tell you, it doesn't take the Butcher long to get into the flow of things, so to speak. Like you said, about 2 minutes before he takes over and starts inflicting punishment. And it won't surprise me if in a couple of minutes he doesn't pull out that fork and start going to work on Lance's head. But right now he seems to be content with just applying a nerve hold and trying to get him to subdue a little bit so he can weaken his opponent and then go to work on him for good.
Okay, Abdullah the Butcher stopping Fabulous Lance here, and this young wrestler, with the great ability that he has to move around, has found himself not going anywhere with the pressure applied by Abdullah the Butcher. And we also have the strange case of the TV truck having the mics open, and some of the camera crew, they are talking to each other without them knowing that the mics were open, commenting on the fact that this young kid Lance was in for the beating of his life. So even the camera crew was sympathetic to the fact that this kid was in a world of trouble.
Well, you know, he'd never been in the ring with Abdullah the Butcher, I don't think, and he probably didn't really know what he was getting himself into. But now it looks like he's trying to do a little bit of damage on Abdullah himself, you got to give Lance a little credit here. He got in the ring. He knew what he was getting himself into, maybe not all the way, but still he's not intimidated to the point where he can't show a little offense. But right now, both men look like they're a little worn out, so to speak.
Okay, Abdullah's back. It's turned, which only means one thing. He might be going out for one of his foreign objects. And yes, he does. Right to the center of the head of Fabulous Lance. Referee Ricky Vargas checking things out here. And already a lot of blood gushing out from the forehead of Fabulous Lance and Abdullah. With that foreign object, one more time. Boy, he's got the kid in trouble.
Well, like I told you, Hugo, it doesn't take him long to pull out the foreign object and go to work on the head. And you can see Lance Von Erich, or Fabulous Lance, whatever you want to call, is bleeding profusely from the head. He's a little disoriented. He doesn't really know where he's at. The referee's trying to check.
Okay, and the doctor coming really close to the ring now. You saw Hector Gonzalez, the doctor, coming around worried about the way the blood was just gushing out of this young wrestler. Mind you that the Fabulous Lance, top-ranked wrestler at the time when this match was taking place, had just come out from 30-minute draw with the NWA's heavyweight champion Ric Flair in Dallas, Texas at the stadiums. So it wasn't like he was an inferior opponent to Abdullah. But then again, the style of Abdullah can even make the top wrestler that this kid is make inferior to him.
Well, you know, Abdullah the Butcher has only one game plan. He has only one way to go and one way to do things. And if you go in the ring and try to make sure he doesn't do it, but he's such a big man, he's such a wily veteran, he's been in there, he's done it so many times that you really can't help but fall into his pattern or the way he likes to carry on a match. And just like right now, he's got Lance tied up, he's got him busted open, he's used the object, he's punching away on the forehead, it's bleeding profusely. I mean, this is an Abdullah the Butcher match, a sadistic match, a barbaric match, a kind of match that needs to be stopped once and for all so it doesn't happen again and hurt people like this.
Okay, the referee should stop this match right here. There's no sense on continuing. This referee has been hit. Hits down. Oh my goodness. Look at this, more blood. Ricky Vargas still trying to stop Abdullah. And look at Fabulous Lance in trouble here. Abdullah not listening to the referee. Referee should stop the match. He should stop the match right here.
Well, I tell you, Hugo, Abdullah doesn't even know what the referee's saying right there. He has no clue as to what's being said by the referee. The referee is totally powerless. Like I said, throughout this tape, Ricky Vargas seems like he always draws.
Okay, another disqualification. Here we go.
Yeah,
one more disqualification.
But it doesn't stop the Butcher. It doesn't stop him from inflicting pain. Look, he's got a piece of wood or something pounding on the head of the Fabulous Lance. He's bleeding profusely. Ricky Vargas can't stop him.
Look at the way he digs that stick right on the side of the head of Fabulous Lance, and now he hits the referee with it. And he got fined some money for this behavior. Look at Abdullah the Butcher. He's all over Fabulous Lance. Referee Ricky Vargas attempting to stop this action by Abdullah the Butcher. But there's no way to stop this man.
Oh, no, you can see the referee trying to signal for other wrestlers.
Hit right on the head again.
Look at the bloody mess that Fabulous Lance is in. I mean, you know, what can you say? This guy can be fined all he wants to. He's got so much money that it doesn't make any difference to him. Sure, he'll shell out a couple $1,000s if he can get back in the ring and cause more pain.
Oh, he got hit back. Another referee comes in, attempting to stop Fabulous Lance getting hurt more here. But things are not going the way the referees want it. Finally,
hey, he had that coat hanger, Hugo. I didn't really see that come out, but he had
all that blood and with the stick and with the referee getting hit.
Now he's going after Abdullah the Butcher, and
this kid is crazy.
I tell you, he's crazed by the loss of blood. Hey.
Maybe the weather in Dallas affected this kid's behavior, because out of no way I would have gone down to face this man to get more of a beating. He's crazy.
Well, I don't think it was the weather. I think it was Manhattan's, but that's beside the point. You know, he's bleeding profusely, and he's going crazy trying to go back at the Butcher. But, I mean, what are you going to do with a 500-pound man that just tore you to pieces?
Okay, fans, more action to follow immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very anxious to find out what is this videotape about. Eddie Grice not getting in touch with us, which he's a very responsible man, and whenever he says he's going to do something, he comes through. Mr. X, what do you think we're going to find here in this videotape?
Hey, Hugo, there's no telling what could be on this videotape. It could be interviews with wrestlers. It could be anything, but why don't we just take a look at it and see exactly what we got here.
Hi, this is Eddie Grice again from EG Productions, and after the tape you all heard tonight, you have to be aware of the fact this man must be banned. Abdullah must be banned from professional wrestling. I want you to write your congressman, write your representative.
Well, this man is an animal. And what he has done to our producer?
Hey, Hugo, he's out of control. Are the people, or the commission's going to let him get away with this? What's going to happen to ENG Production, and what's going to happen to Eddie Grice? I tell you, I don't know.
Has he claimed another victim?
Has he claimed another victim? I don't know.